Hello everyone and welcome back to Mother Monday, the mother talk show we do every single Monday ever. Happy Thursday. Today we're talking about, is Ninten Ness's dad? This has been a hot topic of conversation and theory for a long time in the fandom, and I've wanted to do a video on it for quite a while. However, I just found that I never felt like this had enough for me to say to fill out a full-form video, so here it is on Mother Monday now. That's what a lot of these are, if you haven't noticed. Topics I feel have potential for videos and discussion, but just don't think they could fill out a fully edited video. So, yeah. Anyway, is Ninten Ness's dad? No. Alright, end of video. Okay, but the real question is why? Why is that such a definitive no answer? Well, let's dissect it, because there is actually some pretty solid evidence to think this is not the case. The year is 1990X. This is from EarthBound, not from Mother 1. So why is this relevant? Well, this is actually the source of much of the remaining discussion to be had. 1990X. When is this? Is this a localization thing? No. It says this in the Japanese version as well. 1990X. And this has caused a lot of discussion about what year this actually takes place in. Most of us just kind of interpret it to be any time between 1990 and 1999. I've seen some people say the X actually is a 10, so it takes place in 2000, which I think is a pretty ridiculous premise, makes no sense, and I'm not going to waste time discussing that because it's really a pointless endeavor. But this is the source of it. When is 1990X? Let's try to figure this out. So, yes, I take this to mean it can be any time between 1990 and 1999. Now, I think it's most likely that it takes place in 1994. I think that's the most reasonable assumption to make because that is when EarthBound came out in 1994 in Japan. And I think there's stronger evidence for this later, potentially 1993, but anytime. So, with this understanding in mind, let's try to do some math to figure out the most important question that then comes from this. When was Ness born? The American canon actually differs slightly from the Japanese canon. Now, there's some things with the Japanese canon or the American canon that are yet to be retconned or changed in any way, so this is still open for discussion, which is why I bring it up. Ness is 13 going on 14. They aged him up and they definitively mark it as 1990X being 1995, the year the game came out in America. This is because if you look at the dates on the newspapers in the player's guide, they only function assuming the year is 1995. So therefore, this would put Ness's birthday in 1981 sometime in September, in fact. So then the question becomes, is this the same in the Japanese canon? No, it's not. In the Japanese canon, the year is not identified in any sort of even vague way whatsoever, so we have no idea. So, if this is the case, how can we even calculate it? Well, then we have to go back to the rule of it can be any time between 1990 and 1999, which would put Ness's birth year any time between 1977 and 1986. Yeah, can you imagine Gen X Ness? Doesn't that feel wrong? Ness is always like a millennial in my head because he grew up in the 90s, but that's not my point here. So let's try to figure this out further in prod. This brings us to Mother 1. Yes, now let's dive into Mother 1 and why this is relevant and how this can help us deduce when the year is. So, EarthBound Beginnings, it takes place in 1980X, according to the American canon. 1980X. So, is this? This is kind of a hard question to answer because that opens the realm up to a much wider degree, doesn't it? However, this isn't the case. In the Japanese canon, it's 1988. They straight up say it in the prologue. 1988. This was reiterated in Mother 1+2. Yet to be retconned in that sense. So, with Mother 1 taking place in 1988, this would make, assuming we're going to align these in this way, American Ness would have been 7 years old during the events of Mother 1, meaning he was already born and well on his way to developing, right? So, Ninten, if we are to assume, is 12, which seems to be the consensus, would have fathered Ness at 5 years old, which is a bit ridiculous. I know people love to bring up the potentiality of, oh, teen parents and stuff, but this is such a ridiculous premise that there's no way. But for Mother 2 Ness, the Japanese Ness, if he was born in 1977, the earliest possible, he would have been 11 in 1988. If he was born in 1986, which is the absolute latest, this would mean he was 2 in 1988. Still, no matter what, he was born already during the events of Mother 1. So Japanese Ness definitively could not have possibly had Ninten as his father. This does still leave one remaining lingering question, though. What about American Ness? It seems like that book might be closed, but not quite, because, again, in the American canon, it was changed to 1980X, and this is the canon of this part of the American canon to this day, in EarthBound Beginnings that's released since then. Point being, if this can now take place anytime in the 1980s, that leaves one sliver of chance of it, right? So if American Ness's canon birth date is 1981, that leaves 1980 being the only year the game could have taken place where he wouldn't have been born. I do not think it's reasonable to assume that Ninten fathered Ness 1 year after the events of Mother 1, meaning sometime when he's like 13. If people are willing to believe that, I think we have already left the bounds of reasonable discussion about this, and I've already dug far deeper into this than any reasonable person would, right? So, definitively, I am going to say it is a 99% chance he is not. They just wear similar clothes. If you wanna go ahead and believe that Ninten became a very, very young teen father the next year, I suppose go ahead, but it does seem like the implication is his father, Ness's father, is much older than, you know, at most like 22 when the game takes place. So that closes that chapter on this front of discussion for me in regards to the Mother series. Who is Ness's dad? We'll probably never know. Anyway, that's one mystery we might need to revisit another time, of who is Ness's dad. Let me know if you'd be interested in that video. Thank you for watching. Happy Mother Monday.